I consume a lot of media. I'm talking about manga, anime, posts online, memes, music, advertisements, YouTube videos, slam poetry, just a lot of things. So when I'm watching an anime that I've been keeping up with weekly and I get to a point where I am completely lost and have zero idea what is going on, I can usually rewatch the last 2 episodes and go, okay, I remember now, I'm fully prepared to process the new information. So what the fuck is going on here? I have, for the most part, enjoyed Darling in the Franxx and gave it a lukewarm recommendation to most people I know who enjoy anime. I have, for the most part, been excited for new episodes because, like many other people who watched and enjoyed the show, I was curious to see how this giant robot romance dystopia would end. And let me just say, I've been relatively optimistic. While I am not afraid to say that I am always wary of A1 Pictures' involvement with anything, I always give an anime a chance before I will completely write it off. I'm usually right though when I see an anime and I get that feeling of familiarity that tells me, stay away. But then I watch 3 episodes and remember that there is a hell and I am in it. But Trigger! I expected more from. These studios are like anime step-siblings who fucked, and now I am the confused, disgusted stepfather trying to piece my brain back together to figure out the bizarre justification of this. I have watched this episode 3 times. I've watched episodes 17, 18, and 19 again for good measure. I watched the first 5 episodes in the English dub out of just curiosity and it had nothing to do with me writing this video. I did my research. I did science in my basement, I called my senator and complained about it, and I've come up with nothing. As a media critic, I have a rule, which is, you should never be confused in the 3rd act. Now, I will admit, the 3rd act is allowed to have a twist, but can you, fans of Darling in the Franxx, honestly tell me that this Space Alien Star Wars Bukkake is a good twist? Also, the hell is going on here? What is happening right now? Can someone clarify this for me, because I sure can't. After years of research and development, I am left almost speechless by how utterly incompetent the writers of this anime have become this late in the game. It's like they dropped a bowl of cereal on the ground and only halfway cleaned it up, and now the carpet has a hardened milk stain that the friends joke is jizz, and I am tired of stepping on it. The real problem with all of this is that it renders a lot of the world building they already did completely pointless. All of the subtle hints at a deeper story and strange things that the shadowy overlords talked about might as well have just all been thrown out the window because none of it really mattered, because our real enemy the whole time was aliens. I'm more concerned about what's going on with Kokoro and Mitsuru than I am about aliens. Why did it have to be aliens though? Like, why? For what possible reason could this have ever been a good idea? And I checked. These aliens are never once brought up in the series. Not a one time has anyone passively been like, oh hey kids, just so you know, the real enemy is aliens. Since when? Since always, silly, now get in the robot. Now, I've done a lot of opinionated ranting so far, so excuse me, I'm gonna go put on my media analyst pants and get into the real problem with this kind of development. The story of Darling in the Franxx up to this episode has, as a whole, made sense and been mostly interesting. 02 and Hiro's relationship developing was easy to get invested in as it was built up over this entire show and had some pretty good twists and turns and reveals throughout the run. Ichigo's subplot of being a weird bitch was interesting as well, and I even enjoyed the Kokoro Mitsuru crap. All of this on top of the world building that's been deliciously spread throughout. Seeing these kids' desire to be liberated, seeing the world they're in be fleshed out and explained, all of this is fine. Did it have problems? Yes, of course. But nothing big enough for me to think, is this show terrible? At first I considered it kind of bad, but enjoyed it in the stupid fun kind of way, like most shows that involve children piloting anything. But around here, I started to get off my high horse and think of this show as just fun. At the introduction of the Lolita Klaxosaur Queen, I became hesitant, but overall, I was looking forward to the next week's episode. I could get past all of this and this. However, this one episode changes a lot of that. I'm gonna steal a phrase real quick from Glass Reflection, being the ending is paramount. And while I don't 100% agree with that statement normally, I feel as though if the ending of Darling in the Franxx is going to become a space battle with aliens, it might just leave a bad taste in my mouth. Which is a real shame, because all of this was fine. We were having fun! This might seem like a tangent, but bear with me. Garo Vanishing Line, okay, I swear this is related. Garo Vanishing Line takes a weird turn towards the end and sort of makes you wonder what exactly you're still looking at. At the first hint of this, I was skeptical and worried for how I was going to feel by the end of it, but this anime was able to take its weird last act turn and make it work. It still felt earned, even though it was an acid trip. It sells itself to the viewer because the characters are aware of what is happening. A key thing I noticed in this episode of Darling in the Franxx is that characters we've been following have zero clue what is happening. And if these characters are our vehicle for understanding this world, this makes this even more of a kick to the dick. None of these characters know what's happening except for Lolly Queen Whatthefuck and Mysterious Masked Man 2 and 6, who are characters we have either only seen twice or are specifically hiding information from everyone else. This isn't a twist. It's a fucking travesty and I'm getting mad again. I will remain hopefully optimistic about the last episodes. Maybe giant robots fighting aliens will be just as fun as everything else. This show is sitting in a bad place though, and if it keeps going the way it is, I fear I won't be able to still give it its lukewarm recommendation. My real fear is that this anime might go from a guilty pleasure to a disappointment on my completed list. Regardless of how utterly baffled I am right now, I have faith that Trigger can fix this. Hey man, what about me?